Indonesia juga mengutuk serangan Israel terhadap rumah sakit Al-Ahli. Ini jelas pelanggaran terhadap hukum humaniter internasional.
Ya, shalom teman-teman semua dimanapun kita berada saat ini. Kiranya kita semua tetap berada dalam keadaan sehat dan apapun yang merupakan aktivitas kita sepanjang hari ini, kiranya Tuhan Yesus memberkati. Dan kembali berjumpa lagi di channel kita ini, yaitu Zemayan Yasin. Terima kasih buat teman-teman semua dan juga para sahabat yang sudah mendukung perkembangan channel ini dengan setia. Dan kiranya kita tetap menggunakannya untuk menjadi berkat bagi semua orang. Nah teman-teman, pada video kali ini saya membagikan kepada kita semua tentang penjelasan dari pihak Israel terkait serangan yang menimpa rumah sakit di Gaza. Karena kemarin kita lihat ada begitu banyak kelompok-kelompok yang ada di Indonesia ini teman-teman. Mereka begitu mengutuk serangan Israel, bahkan Presiden Jokowi aja angkat bicara dan melepaskan kutuk terhadap serangan tersebut. Padahal Israel menjelaskan bahwa serangan itu bukanlah dari pihak mereka, melainkan itu merupakan rudal Hamas atau roket Hamas yang gagal meluncur sehingga kembali lagi menimpa daerah Gaza, sehingga menimpa rumah sakit tersebut. Dan itulah yang saya sampaikan kemarin, bahwa memang media-media Indonesia ini sangat tidak konsisten dalam memproduksi berita, dalam menyajikan peristiwa-peristiwa yang terjadi secara adil. Silakan tidak suka dengan Israel, silakan tidak membuka hubungan diplomatik dengan Israel, tetapi jangan sekali-sekali mengutuk Israel, karena mereka itu merupakan pilihan Tuhan, bangsa yang dimana itu merupakan ketetapan Tuhan bagi mereka. Apa yang disampaikan oleh Tuhan dalam firman-Nya, Dia mengatakan bahwa Israel adalah harta kesayanganku dan Israel adalah biji matanya Tuhan. Nah teman-teman, Presiden Jokowi dia mengecam dan dia mengutuk. Menurut saya ini tidak adil. Kenapa begitu terburu-buru ya, tergesa-gesa dia mengutuk serangan itu, seolah-olah Israel yang melakukannya. Dan menurut saya tidak konsisten kecaman ini, karena kemarin ketika Hamas menyerang Israel secara tiba-tiba, secara tidak fair dan secara tidak sportif, sehingga memakan korban jiwa, dan Presiden Jokowi sama sekali tidak melepaskan kutuk terhadap Hamas, tidak mengecam sama sekali serangan Hamas tersebut. Nah teman-teman, sebelumnya mari kita simak video penjelasan dari pihak Israel terkait serangan yang menimpa Gaza pada saat itu. Videonya yang berikut ini.
Indonesia juga mengutuk serangan Israel terhadap rumah sakit Al-Ahli. Ini jelas pelanggaran terhadap hukum humaniter internasional.
The trajectory analysis from the barrage of rockets confirms that the rockets were fired close proximity to the hospital. In addition, there are two independent videos which show the failure of the rocket launch and the continuation of rocket flight towards the ground within the Gaza Strip, falling in the hospital compound. Third, we have intelligence, some that will be shared here, of communication between terrorists talking about rockets misfiring. The terrorists realized that the rocket had misfired and made specific reference to the Al-Hadi al-Madani hospital. I would want to let everybody hear the conversation, and I will do the translation in English. I'm telling you, this is the first time that we see missile like this falling, and so that's why we are saying it belongs to the Palestinian Islamic Jihad. What? They are saying it belongs to the PGI. It's from us? It looks like it. Who says this? They are saying the shrapnel from the missile is local shrapnel, and not like Israeli shrapnel. What are you saying, Abu Ammar? But God bless, it couldn't have been found another place, not the hospital, to explode? Never mind, yes, Abu Haji. They shot it from the cemetery behind the hospital. What? They shot it coming from the cemetery behind the Mahadani hospital, and it misfired and fell on them. There's a cemetery behind it? Yes, Al-Mahadani is exactly in the compound. Where is it when you enter the compound? You first enter the compound and don't go towards the city. It's on the right side of Al-Mahadani hospital. Yes, I know it. We have cross-checked, intercept with other intelligence sources to confirm this accuracy. It is common for rockets that are fired to Israel to land short and fall inside Gaza. These rockets fall short of Israel and have caused Palestinian casualties. During this war, we have counted approximately 450 rockets that misfired and fell inside Gaza. Palestinian civilians pay the price. I want to show you the footage. These are failed launches during this war, until now. These are all failed launches that fell inside the Gaza Strip, and some of them, of course, created casualties among the Palestinians themselves.
Sekali lagi, bukti penting tentang rumah sakit Gaza.
I want to bring in CNN military analyst, retired Lieutenant General Mark Hertling here. General, look, we have some video here, and I want you to just take a look at this. This is some footage that seems to show a rocket going up here, and then something happens that's pretty catastrophic. When you see this, what do you see?
I see a flame out of a rocket. And we've been talking about this all day, and it's a result of what happened yesterday. But when you see that rocket going forward, this happens a lot with these kind of rockets that are supplied by Iran, Abi. It is a rocket motor that doesn't work. It gets a certain distance, and then it just flames out. And a rocket has a trajectory of a brick once it doesn't have a force behind it, so it immediately drops. So you see it right
This is a slow motion version of that video.
Flame out.
Yeah.
So it loses its rocket motor, and then it just drops down. But what you also have when that happens is the fuel that's part of the rocket that hasn't burned. So when it hits the ground, we'll see next.
Here's the video of an explosion from a viewpoint from the ground.
Yeah. Now, this isn't a very big piece of ordnance. It's a relatively small ordnance. So the actual explosive isn't that big. But what is big is the fuel that it hasn't used. That caused a lot of cars in that parking lot to burn. We see the after effects of that. We see a very small crater. If it had been a crater
let's actually take a look at what you're discussing here. I'm going to just break this down a little bit more for folks. What I'm showing you here, this is, to be clear, provided by the IDF. This shows what looks like satellite imagery of the area where this rocket may have come down, right? This is the explosion site. They're saying that if you look over here, this is what typically you would see if there was an IDF strike, even as large as 19 meters, a much larger crater. It doesn't seem like we see that here. And we also have some before and after images here. This is the hospital, the Al-Ali hospital. This is the explosion site in this area here. And here it is after.
Yeah.
So you were just discussing the size of the crater. Some of the images are not super clear.
No.
Whether there was a crater or not. But when you look at this is up close at the cars and the site of the fire. What do you see?
Well, what I saw earlier today was a photo of a very small crater about right there. What you see in this area are a lot of burned cars. What you see over here are cars that are not burned. What you see across at this building, if you had a picture of the building, which I think we do, no, I'm sorry.
We don't have an up close of the building, but we do have these.
What we do see is pock marks on the side of the building.
You can look at this video here, and it shows some of the
it will show up here. You see the burned
buildings.
car, but as the camera scans over here, you'll see cars that aren't burned.
Yeah.
Very close. So it had an effect of the explosive capability of a rocket, which is relatively small, but a lot of fuel blowing up after it that didn't burn off the rocket motor. So this is evidence of certainly not a bomb that would come off of an aircraft. You see the pock marks, the blown out windows, but not a whole lot else. I mean, there's not a whole lot of damages to the building. Now, the doctors inside of the building said that there were patients that were injured. That could have been from the blast, glass flying inside of the building, but it certainly wasn't a strike on the hospital itself.
And just briefly, if you were to have seen a strike, a true strike coming from Israel, I want to also, just as I'm saying this, show you, this is an image that shows, according to the IDF, the trajectory of this rocket. And it comes from somewhere inside of northern Gaza, and it goes this direction. It goes east.
What you have here is something called a point of origin.
Yeah.
That's where the rocket was fired from, right where that red dot is. You see multiple tracers coming off of those. Those are the different rockets that come out of that rocket pod. The one that came out right here came out over the hospital, and I believe that was the one that lost its engine and fell on close to the hospital, not on the hospital. So this is part of the proof that the Israeli Defense Forces gave. They said, hey, here, this is something called a Q-36 radar. They use these radars to connect with the Iron Dome to shoot down rockets. So when you see all these coming off of a missile site and one dropping over the top of a hospital, you can see where it was truthfully an accident, a missile that didn't go through to its final mission.
Yeah, and as you pointed out many times, these Iranian-provided missiles, they tend to do that. General Mark Hertling, thank you very much.
Bahkan jubir IDF kemarin atau juru bicara IDF sudah menjelaskan bahwa itu bukan serangan dari pihak mereka, melainkan itu merupakan serangan dari Hamas itu sendiri, yang dimana mereka gagal dalam meluncurkan roket-roket mereka sehingga menimpa rumah sakit Gaza atau menimpa wilayah Gaza itu sendiri. Dan saya pernah dengar apa yang disampaikan oleh Pak Jokowi. Dia berkata bahwa kalau ada berita yang tersebar di media-media sosial itu jangan cepat-cepat dipercayai, jangan cepat-cepat ditelan mentah-mentah, itu diselidiki dulu faktanya, atau diselidiki atau dicari tahu dulu terlebih dahulu faktanya apakah benar atau tidak. Nah, maka presiden kita sendiri yang secara tidak konsisten dalam perkataannya ya, seharusnya dia menyelidiki terlebih dahulu apakah serangan itu dari Israel atau dari mana. Barulah harusnya dia angkat bicara atau mengecam atau mengutuk. Tetapi ini tanpa dia harus selidiki terlebih dahulu fakta serangan tersebut, dan dia tergesa-gesa, terburu-buru untuk melepaskan kutuk bagi Israel. Dan anehnya tidak sportif dalam mengecam sesuatu. Tidak adil, teman-teman. Ketika Hamas menyerang Israel kemarin, dia sama sekali tidak angkat bicara. Padahal pada saat itu tanggal 7 Oktober itu kemarin, ada juga korban jiwa, ada yang diculik oleh Hamas, warga sipil, tetapi sama sekali dia tidak angkat bicara. Nah, itulah sebabnya saya sampaikan hati-hati kalau kita mau melepaskan kutuk terhadap Israel, karena Israel merupakan bangsa yang sudah ditetapkan Tuhan untuk selama-lamanya, yang dimana Israel itu menjadi harta bagi kesayangan Tuhan, dan kemudian Israel itu biji matanya Tuhan. Bahkan pernah dalam Alkitab, dalam sejarah yang ada di Alkitab, dan pernah terjadi di mana seorang raja Moab yang dia meminta Bileam untuk mengutuk Israel supaya Israel kalah, karena pada saat itu ada peperangan yang besar antara Israel dan Bani Moab. Dan kemudian Bani Moab ini melihat kekuatan Israel luar biasa, dan mereka yakin bahwa mereka sebagai Bani Moab tidak akan pernah menang melawan Israel, sehingga Raja Balak yang merupakan Raja Moab itu, dia memanggil Bileam supaya dia mengutuk Israel. Apa yang dilakukan Bileam? Dia tidak berani melepaskan kutuk bagi Israel, sekalipun dibayar dengan harga yang mahal oleh Raja Balak, pemimpin Bani Moab. Namun Bileam sama sekali tidak berani mengutuk Israel. Nah, jadi itu luar biasa, teman-teman. Jadi kita hati-hati, jangan sampai kutuk itu menimpa diri kita sendiri. Nah, jadi kita tetap berdoa supaya pemerintah kita ini lebih bijaksana lagi dalam setiap mengambil keputusan. Entah itu keputusan mengecam sesuatu, pikir-pikir terlebih dahulu, selidiki dulu faktanya terlebih dahulu. Jangan karena merasa Palestina itu saudara seiman, jadi terburu-buru mengutuk Israel. Jangan. Jadi itu yang saya sampaikan teman-teman. Kiranya kita tetap hidup di dalam damai dan Israel Palestina cepat-cepat berdamai. Itu saja yang mau saya sampaikan. Kiranya Tuhan Yesus memberkati kita semua. Shalom.